Do you ever feel like you're constantly adding new music, but your sets still sound the same? Or you never end up playing anything you add? Until a few years ago, I was caught in the same trap. The problem wasn't that I was adding tracks, it was that I was adding the wrong ones. In this video, I'll break down how I changed the way I find new music, so now every track I add earns its place. One of the most fun parts about DJing for me is finding new music. I was making it rain all over Beatport on the reg, but my digging wasn't strategic. I just kind of bought whatever I felt like and then dumped it in my library. This started causing two big issues without me even realizing. First, my library started getting really bloated and one-sided, leading to boring sets and tough maintenance. And secondly, my prep was never keeping up with the amount of shit I was adding, so I always felt like I was playing catch-up. There was obviously a problem, but I couldn't figure out where. Was I adding too much of the same BPM, key or subgenre, or relying on the same artists and labels? Basically, I didn't have a good understanding of what actually made up my library in the first place. To figure that out, I set up a few intelligent playlists in Rekordbox. The first intelligent playlist I want to set up is for BPM. Right-click and choose Add New Intelligent Playlist. My library is full of D&B, so there's no point scanning for 126 BPM tracks in here. Instead, I want to understand the breakdown I've got within the genre itself. In particular, what I have in the more standard 172 to 176-ish BPM range versus the slightly slower jungly 160 BPM stuff. I'll set two intelligent playlists up to spot these. The first is for the faster tracks. Add a rule, select BPM and then choose the greater than symbol. In my case, I'll pop in 171. Then in the second playlist, add a rule, select BPM again, but this time choose is in the range. And here I'll put 160 to 170. You can obviously adjust the BPM values depending what you play. So straight away I can see I've got way fewer tracks in that lower BPM range, only 31. There's 1,002 tracks in my library, so some quick maths tells me that's only about 3%. So this could be a prime candidate for my next crate digging session. You can do a similar exercise for key, genre or my tag or whatever you want. Essentially we're trying to create a bit of a heat map of the library so we can see where the hotspots are and where the gaps are too. The problem with this method though is it's super manual and you kind of have to know what you're looking for in the first place. That's one of the reasons I built Library Dojo, my new tool that I've been working on for the last few months. If I run my Rekordbox library through it, it'll quickly show me a breakdown of everything that's in my library. I've been using this to make sure my crate digging sessions are much more focused and strategic so I can start to fill real gaps in my library. It's currently in early access, so you'll need to be on the newsletter for when I announce new slots. The link's in the description. But there was another problem I had with my crate digging, and fixing it was actually one of my biggest level ups I've made in years. Right, so we got some playlists and we know where some of the gaps are in our library. But this is still a very literal way of thinking about our music. Just because you don't have many 172 or 10A tracks doesn't mean that they're the right things to add more of. As I covered in a recent video, I've been thinking a lot more about giving my tracks roles that they play in sets. So it's no longer a 2A 172 BPM liquid track. It's a tool for bringing down energy gradually from a high point in the set. There's a couple of track roles I use that you can steal or you can come up with your own. The best way to figure out which of these roles you might need more of is to have a look at our history. In Rekordbox you can find your history under the History section in the sidebar. This is where Rekordbox keeps a record of all the sets you played previously. Have a look through a couple of your most recent, and there's a couple of things to check for here. First, are you always opening with the same couple of tunes? If so, you might need to dig for more openers. If you use an energy rating like I do your sets have periods where energy increases and decreases, or does it just stay at 100% the whole time? If it's the latter, you might need to dig for some more tracks that help reset energy more smoothly. And if it was a live set, you can of course use the live crowd reaction to gauge where you maybe don't have the right tools for the job. At first, I thought this mindset shift would make crate digging harder work and take longer. But it's actually made it way more fun, and actually quicker. Because I'm thinking a lot more about how a track would play a particular role in my library or a set, I'm digging way fewer tracks. Not only is this great for my wallet, but it makes my curation a lot faster. But it's still easy to see crate digging as a completely separate part of the DJing process. And this was yet another trap that I fell into as well. This separation I had in my mind meant I was never answering a key question. I was asking myself, is this track good? But what I really needed to be asking was, does this track work in my ecosystem? This subtle shift in framing completely changed my workflow. I was no longer evaluating a track based on its individual qualities, but rather how it fit together with everything else I had. Think about if you've ever started a new job. It's pretty nerve-wracking and you might feel like a bit of a bellend on the first day. You're qualified on paper, but it doesn't mean you'll get on well with the rest of the team. If you don't make any fast friends on your first day, you'll be left alone to find the toilets on your own and you probably won't pass your probation. The same goes for new tracks. Drop one into your library with no context and it'll just sit in the corner gathering dust. To solve this, I've started experimenting with a new step in my process before tracks are allowed into the library. It's kind of like giving them a bit of work experience to see how they get on with the other tunes. In Rekordbox, create a holding playlist. You can call it whatever you want. I'll go for Gunt Flaps. In here, we're going to add a couple of tracks that might be new candidates for the library. The goal here is to just spend a few minutes trying them out with some other tracks you have and see how they fit in. Are they good for bringing down the energy from that banger you play in literally every set? Do they help you mix faster out of Badadan? Or do they layer well over Pac-Man, which incidentally is my only criteria? Once you've found one or two good partners, you can get Rekordbox to remember this pairing for you. It's called the matching function and is very well hidden in version 7 for no reason other than to be annoying. Click the little down arrow next to the waveform magnifying glasses and then you'll see this little chain link icon. Next time you load one of those tracks and it's on the master deck, click the little two-headed sperm on the right, which is the related tracks function. Then click the cog and make sure the matching checkbox is selected. You'll then see a list of tracks that have been matched with that track. I used to avoid new tracks I'd added simply because I was worried I couldn't find anything to mix with them quickly in the moment. So this method takes a lot of the thinking out of it the first few times you try and do it. And I found that's made me much more likely to introduce new tunes into my sets. But crate digging was just one of the problems I found when I analysed 60 DJ libraries recently. To find out what those are and how to fix them, check out this video next. Also, it turns out I actually have Badadan on vinyl and forgot about it. Whoops.